Hello everyone. So today we are going to learn about another important tool within Informatica. We call it as user-defined functions. In short form, many a times you will hear about UDFs. So today's topic of learning is going to be the UDF, aka user-defined functions. So first, let me have a small explanation about the UDF or user-defined function. So UDF are generally the small entities or functions which can be reused multiple times within the Informatica system whenever you are using any expression editor, either on a transformation or on a link condition or anywhere where you can use expressions. You can go and attempt to use a user-defined function. So it's small chunks, or rather, if I compare with the computer science or the software industry, when we write utility methods or functions which can be used across all your project or program, the same thing is there in the in Informatica as well, in form of user-defined functions, where you can write your own complicated programs, and that programs can be reused across all the Informatica system whenever you are using any mapping or any workflow. So by the way, when we talk about user-defined function, there are two kinds of user-defined function. One is public and one is private. When I talk about public user-defined functions can be called from any other user-defined function or any other transformation or any other link condition or the task expression. When I talk about private user-defined function, so private user-defined function can only be called from any other UDF only. So when I talk about private UDF, it cannot be called from any other transformation or link condition or task expression. It can only be called from any other UDF. Again, it has multiple advantages over any other usable components. So it is always highly reusability is one of the advantage of it, high maintainability and very easy traceability. So you can see all the user defined function in one shot. So that way the traceability is very high. So right now I'm going to show you a problem where I have a small port on my source. Let's say my source will look something like this. So let me quickly create a source. So let's say I have one port which is something like let's say I have a source which contains all the email addresses. So I am supposed to parse all these inputs. I have to get the name from these email addresses. So the logic for getting the name from these email addresses will be I have to parse from start till I reach to the value of @. So the value whatever I get from this email address, so in this example XYZ, it will be the name, ABC will be the name, MNOP will be the name, and ABCD will be the name of these 4 records. So this is going to be my input file. So let me save this somewhere. So let me save it on the desktop itself. So I have saved this as a text file, and I am going to use output also as a flat file where I need to dump it as per the logic I'm going to use. So I'm going to connect to the repository first on the demo. Let me go to the source analyzer and let me import the source which I just now created. So it's on the desktop. This is the source file for me. I have to import it from the second line. So this is my source. Let me save this. At the same time, I'm going to use, let me go in the target, and I am going to pull the same flat file which I just created on the target designer. So let me first clean this. And let me rename this. I'm going to rename this as TRG name from email. It's going to be a flat file, and on the column section, let me rename this as name. I'm keeping this as string and keeping the precision value as same as 16, but I can keep it less as well, because I know I am not going to have all the values whatever they are in the email address. So still I'm keeping it same. Anything more than that should be fine. Save. Let me save this. Now I'm going to the mapping designer and creating a new mapping for it. And I'm going to pull the source and the target. So now I am supposed to use some transformation here which will do the magic for me. So the magic will be nothing but getting the value from the just a minute. So let me first open I think I have anyway kept it on the desktop. So let me open that. So basically I'm supposed to parse these strings, input strings. So I know the input coming to me will be a string, and I am supposed to get all the values which is before the @ sign. So for this, I am going to create two UDFs. So two user defined functions I will create. The the first user defined function is supposed to give me the position of the @ sign. So the position of @ sign, how I can get, I will pass the input of the entire input string of the email address, and I'm going to tell him that I need to find the position of the @ sign. So for that, I'm going to define a user defined function, and let me create it as a private user defined function. So for that, come to this user defined function sudo folder. You can see there is no user defined function as of now. Do a right click, you can see a new menu. So this is the wizard for creating a user defined function. So let me create it as get index at sign. Get index of @ sign. So that is the name I'm giving for my user defined function. I'm going to keep it private. So again, remembering what private is. So private user defined function can only be called from any other UDF. It will not be able to call from any other transformation or link condition or task expression. So give some description. So get the index position of @sign, and as an input to this function I will suppose to give email ID. So let me keep it as I underscore email ID. It will be a string. I have something which is more than 16, so I'm keeping it as 20 for now. Now here I am supposed to write the expression for this. So again, this will have a launch editor which will give me the expression editor over here. So out of all the functions to get the index position of I can use, there is a function called inString. So in string, you can see what the definition of it. So I'm going to use this argument. I can use the email at input string. I'm going to look for @text, and I will start from index 1. So this is the input I'm giving. Remember, when you do validation, it doesn't show a pop-up saying that this is a valid expression, but it shows the user-defined functions validity in the output section over here. So you can see this is a valid expression. Click on OK and say OK. As soon as you say OK, you can see this user-defined function is available for usage. Now you remember that I have used this as a private UDF. So if I go and try to use it in some expression transformation, so let's say I am going to create the expression transformation and naming it as get name from email. I am using the input as email, which will be available here, and on this port I'm going to use a new port called output as name. It will be a string. It will be of same precision value. It is not our input, so let me get rid of this. And on this, if you see, there is something called user defined function, but this value is not available because I have created only the private one. And as I said, only the public one can be accessed from the expression editor of transformation or link condition or task expression. So I am not able to use it. So what I will have to do here is I will have to come and create another UDF. So let me create another UDF which will be giving me the username from email address. So let me name it as get name from email. I'm going to keep it as public, give some description to it, get username from email address. Input is going to be some input string, so let me name this as input string. This is going to be some value which is more than that. On editor, I am supposed to use some expression over here. So the expression which I'm going to use here is substring. So from all function, if you go and look for substring, because that's the kind of operation I'm going to do. So substring, you can see what the definition of it. I'm using substring. So in this substring, I'm going to use the argument of, I think I have not saved that. So that's why it's giving me this new argument. So let me cancel this for now. And So let me cancel this first, and on the okay, sorry. So let me create this again. Let me name this as get index is already done. So let me say that as get name from email address. This I am going to give as input string. This is going to be again string, which is going to be 20. You can add anything, but I don't want right now anything. This is going to be a public one. If I launch the editor, now I am going to use the substring function over here. So in substring, I'm going to pass the input string which I'm using in my UDF. So this takes 3 arguments: the input string, from where I need to start until what point I need to end. So I need to start from point number index 1, and I have to travel till I reach the index for @sign. So how I can get the index for @sign is using some of the using some of the different UDF. So that I have created as a private UDF. You can now see on this that the UDF which I have created as private UDF is available here. So as per the definition of private UDF, which can only be visible from any other UDF, so that is why you can see it here. Give this, you can see it comes with a namespace of :UDF dot whatever name I have given. Here I am supposed to give the value to it. So again, the value will be the input string. And once I get the index for @sign, you know that I have to once in this example, @sign will be available at 1, 2, 3, 4, fourth location, but I have to come one lesser than that, because otherwise name will be something XYZ . So for that reason, I am subtracting one index from this, and this should be validated once, and click on OK. So now I have created 2 UDFs. One is the private one and another is the public one. So now if I come back to this expression editor and come to this port, in this expression editor, now if I see the UDF, you can see only one value available, that is the public one, get name from email address. Double click on this, and in port, pass the email port to it. Now validate and say OK. So now your expression is all ready. And then pass this port back to the target. So this is done. So now save this once. Just give me a moment. Just hold on for a second. Sorry guys, I'm back. So with this, I have completed my mapping completely. Now I am going to create a workflow with this mapping. So for that, I'm creating it from here directly, generate the workflow. I'm creating the workflow as non-reusable session. All the naming convention you can follow how it is being taken up. Say next and say finish. So now your mapping is being used in one of the session tasks and the workflow is created. Go to the workflow manager. In this workflow manager, come to the repository where you are working. In this workflow, you can see this UDF example is available over here. On this UDF example, if you go and see the properties, I don't want to set source and target because I am going to use the flat file for this example. On this, simply use the value for the source file. So source file is located where? So if I go and say file save as, or rather let me so this is the location where my file is. So that's what I am taking here. Let me close this for now. So this is the source location, and let me create the target at the same desktop location. So here the output file directory, I'm going to create same in the desktop, and let me create it as a text file. That name will be trg name from email.txt. Say apply. Okay, save this, and now let me execute this workflow. So now you can see my workflow has executed successfully. You can go and see first whether the file got created or not. So for that reason, I'm going to the desktop. You can see this new file got created. If I double click this, you can see all the names got dumped directly on the output file, and all the names are nothing but the value which is available before the @ sign. So with this example, I hope you are clear with the UDF functions, whether it's a public or a private, and how to use it. With this UDF, you can write complicated functions. I have used a simple function to make you understand the concept, but you can come up with all kind of complicated examples and start writing the UDF. Hope this tutorial is helpful for you. If you have any questions, feel free to post your questions as comment. I will try to respond. Thank you.